There is nothing wrong with your internet. Do not attempt to adjust your settings. We are controlling the podcast. We control the squealing and the screams. We can make your heart flutter, your eyes blur from tears, or sharpen your mind to crystal clarity. For the next hour, sit back. We are in control of what you hear. We repeat, there is nothing wrong with your settings. You are about to experience the awe and mystery known as the female mind. You are now entering the Fangirl Zone.
Welcome to SyFy Talk on the Fangirl Zone, a podcast where we discuss shows on the SyFy channel. I'm Steve.
And I'm Sean Fangirl S, and tonight we'll be discussing episode 10 of season 4 of The Magicians. Okay, so this is great because we got a musical episode.
That we weren't expecting.
Yeah, I didn't think they were going to do it.
Yeah.
But I'm glad they did because it was so cool. And I was just saying off air, like, I remember the episode and it was great, but what really stands out is the musical part. So it's like, oh, this is Margot's episode.
Yeah.
Like, seriously, like the rest of it, I could have just had all musical with Margot. I don't know. Right. But before we get into this awesome episode, let's talk about ratings.
All right. Episode 10 brought in a 0.19 in adults 18 to 49 with 0.515 million viewers, making it the 39th overall cable show for the day.
Not bad.
It's nice to see that number keep climbing.
Yes.
Now, unfortunately, I guess the holidays that haven't occurred yet have gotten Nielsen again because the Live Plus 7 are not available.
Oh, I'm so surprised.
Yeah. I'm more surprised when we actually have some.
Yes, that was more sarcasm than anything. So, yeah. All right, let's take us into our awesome recap.
Yes.
Of episode 10.
All that hard, glossy armor. Margot hits her step count.
Seriously? That was like one line. Oh, good God. You guys are just trolling us.
Yep. And enjoying it way too much.
Yeah, you know they are.
Yes.
Killing me, guys. All right, go ahead. Let's take us in. Because, of course, we're going to have Margot as our big finish. So let's talk about everything else that happened.
All right. Let's start with Team Rebellion. Zelda asks her mentor, Everett, if they have finally identified the leader of the serpents. Of course, he deflects the question.
I'm surprised there.
Right. And when she tries to pump him for more information and offers her help, he shuts her down and questions her health and sanity.
It's like, what?
Yeah.
Why are you suddenly questioning when you were telling her what, just last episode, the episode before? Oh, you're such an integral part of the library and we definitely need you.
Right.
Yeah. And now suddenly, are you sure you're okay?
Yeah. This thing with your daughter got you all messed up. And so when she goes to talk to Alice and Katie, they inform her that the library is lying about the amount of ambient magic available.
Again, this is my surprised face.
Yeah.
Yeah. You guys all know it's not a surprise face.
Yeah. And it is far less than they're telling people, and they are doing it to try and eradicate the hedges. Now, of course, Zelda doesn't want to believe this, but her daughter Harriet seems to be right, as Everett created the serpents and is using the lowered ambient magic to get rid of all the hedges.
Now, since we've seen the meters, the magic meters, do we think those are showing true numbers then? Or that maybe somehow they've messed with those too?
I would assume that they've been messed with as well. Because, Everett doesn't want to get caught.
Right.
The Order catches him. He's in big trouble. So, yeah.
Yeah, because who knows what he's planning.
That's right. So Alice pleads with her to help them, and she asks Zelda to find out where the extra magic is going and why they are hoarding it. And Zelda decides to snoop in Everett's office and takes the book that records their levels of ambient magic.
I feel really bad for Zelda because she had such faith in this guy.
Right.
And the look on her face when she looks into the book.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And it's so weird because she plays Zelda where she's like, even when she's sad, it's kind of hard to see it. It's real subtle, but like you seen the disappointment on her face.
Right.
And just like everything just kind of like drooped down on her. Like, I can't believe he's doing this. I believed in him.
Right.
So, and yeah, it'll be interesting to find out what's going on, where everything is.
Right. Yeah. I can't wait to find out what he's truly up to. See if Irene is involved in this at all.
Oh, God, Irene.
Yeah.
She hasn't been back, just mentioning her.
Right.
So it makes me wonder what's going on there. If they're doing like another battery or something.
Right. Yeah. I have a feeling we will see her before the end of the season.
Probably not in a good way either.
No, not at all. Now we head over to Team Monster, and of course we begin with Penny delivering the shocking news that Darth Elliot is not collecting the stone organs to rebuild his own body, but his sister's. And
yeah, I love when he's like, yeah, because Elliot told me. And they're like, what?
yeah.
All right.
Hold on.
Like, let me give you a quick recap.
Yeah. And it turns out the gods murdered or executed her and then imprisoned the monster. The gods killed her, chopped her body into 4 parts, and turned them into stones, hiding them in each of the gods. And once the monster has all the stones, he can bring her back to life, which, from everything we've heard so far, would be a very bad thing.
Right. Because at this point, Penny, was it Penny? Yeah.
Yeah.
Says, listen, if Darth Elliot over here was just banished and the sister was killed, what the heck did she do? Her
Right.
crimes have got to be way worse than his. And he's a psycho.
Yeah.
And at that point, if you're not worried and you're dealing with this, you're not paying attention.
No, not at all. So yeah, this sister has got to be, I mean, I consider Darth Elliot worse than the Beast, and his sister is worse than him. That's scary.
Right. Like you were talking, was it last episode or the one before? You know, is this going to be like another Beast incarnation kind of thing? The Beast at least had some empathy.
Right.
A little bit. But mostly he just didn't care.
Right.
Like Darth Elliot doesn't really understand. I think you talked about this earlier in the season where he was kind of like a kid.
Right.
And so it's almost like he just, not that he doesn't care, he just doesn't seem to get it.
Right. He doesn't know how he's supposed to feel and act.
Right. Like he got so far in development and then that was it. And then now we have the sister who the hell knows how bad she is. I'm guessing there is zero anything good, basically.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
I was going to say zero emotion, zero empathy. I mean, that's all kind of the same thing. But yeah, just zero. Zero of anything other than evil is what I'm thinking.
Right. Absolutely.
So I'm a little worried.
Yeah.
And that little is really a lot, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. And while the group discusses this new development, Darth Elliot approaches a drunk and seemingly desolate woman at a bar. And she tells him the price of talking is buying her a drink.
Okay, I was thinking she was a prostitute at first.
Yeah, especially when the price of talking was a drink.
Yeah.
He gladly accepts and orders her a vodka on ice. Now, where's this money coming from? I don't know. Maybe
well, he didn't actually pay for anything. He just kind of pops in and out. So what are they going to do?
Yeah. She assumes he's trying to pick her up and attempts to shut that down, but Darth Elliot has other questions on his mind.
Yeah, I love it. Can I ask you a question? And then she runs through the whole, like every lame pickup line.
Right. And he learns from her that the bar is next to a hospital and that she is sick and the doctors only expect her to live another 2 or 3 months.
But she doesn't say
exactly
what's wrong.
What she has. Exactly.
And I wonder if it's along the same lines of Q's dad.
Could be. Very well could be. So she gets ready to leave and tell her parents the bad news. And she touches Darth Elliot's cheek when she says farewell. And he grabs her and makes her touch it again.
Oh my God, yes. Because he's like, I remembered stuff when you did that.
Right.
And she looks at him kind of like, huh?
Yeah. Okay, creepo. I need to get out of here.
Right.
But
and when he just comes up with, you remind me of my sister. Something I forgot. It's like, uh-oh.
yeah. And she tries to leave again, but no, not going to happen. He grabs her and zaps out of there.
And that's why he didn't pay for the drinks.
Exactly.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah. So let's head to the loft and Team Binder. We see Alice bringing Julia the book, but it's written in a language no one can read. But Julia thinks that they can bring it to the next god the Darth Elliot is after. Maybe he can help them decipher it.
But will he?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So Alice leaves to continue mapping the library's pipe system in order to help the Hedges rebellion.
Oh, I think it's not just for the Hedges. I mean,
no.
Obviously at this point, Alice is like, screw the library.
Yeah, we're taking them down.
Yeah.
Now, of course, that leaves Alice, Penny, and Q, and they're having trouble figuring out who and where Enolaus is when they discover that he's actually the Celtic trickster god Angus.
Oh, yeah, because Julia, not Alice. You said Alice.
Alice.
But yeah, Julia's the one who's all of a sudden like, wait a second.
Yeah.
And of course, Penny's kind of like, crap, it's another trickster god. And they're like, are you going to be all right?
Right.
So it kind of was weird that Penny was worried about it. So obviously he knows what's going on. So I wonder if this happened to his Julia too, that the trickster god messed with Julia. Because Julia, I know, wasn't in that situation in every version.
Right.
Every
timeline.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know if it was that his Julia went through that or he's just gotten to know our Julia enough to know that this actually happened.
Oh, wait.
Yeah,
because
they went and
That's right. I forgot.
Yeah.
I was thinking that was the other Penny, but yeah, that's right. That's right.
That was Penny 23 that went and visited.
God, that was last season. It seems like forever ago.
Right. And they can only get to him by passing the trials of the leprechaun guarding him.
Yeah, really?
Yeah.
And I love that because Julie's like, we have to find a leprechaun. And they're like, are you serious?
Road trip.
Oh, leprechaun. Not what I expected, let me tell you.
Oh, no. Because, of course, the three of them track down Angus's leprechaun, Barry.
Yes. She didn't look like a berry to me.
No. Not at all. She runs an arcade-esque escape room, and they must find all of the keys hidden around the room in order to unlock the doors that lead to Angus. So, of course, Julia uses her indestructibility to get one of the keys from a particularly gruesome and saw-like trap.
Yes, it was.
Yes, it was.
She's like, guys, one of us is indestructible.
Yeah.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah. So Barry tells her that all the gods have been keeping an eye on her, and they finally collect all the keys and confront Angus in his office.
I feel like that little semi-throwaway line, all the gods have been watching. Well, then why aren't any of them stepping in to help, first of all? And second, why are they so interested in Julia?
Right.
I mean, if she was supposed to kind of be like this minor deity, it seems like it's a pretty big deal. Just like the dragon was really interested. And then if all these gods are watching her, I'm thinking this is going to be huge.
Yeah, it really is beginning to look that way, especially if there's only 4 major gods and 3 of them are dead.
Right. Well, I mean, we were told magic got turned off because gods have parents.
Right.
There's other gods somewhere. It's just these are the 4 that happen to be in this storyline is what I'm thinking.
Right. Absolutely.
But somebody else better step in soon.
Yeah. Now, of course, Angus is shockingly unconcerned about Darth Elliot.
Oh my God. I was so pissed.
Yeah.
I wanted to reach through and shake him. I mean, I have a safe room. Don't worry. The monster can't get in. Seriously. Okay. These guys aren't here just because, shits and giggles. Right?
They're trying to save your freaking life.
Right. And he's like, let's see if I remember the password. Ha ha ha. Yeah. And he really couldn't figure it out.
No.
And he keeps stopping, and he's like, oh, well, Julia, I know some stuff. Why don't you come with me? I can help you regain your powers. And I'm thinking, is this a really bad pickup line?
Right. Or is it a trick?
Right. Or is there possibly a genuine concern, which I don't know. The way he was acting, it's like, could this god have genuine concern about anything?
Right. Sure didn't seem like it.
No.
And as he keeps attempting to figure out his passcode, there's a tap on his shoulder.
That was crazy, because all of a sudden they're like, whoa.
Yeah, because he just,
like,
Guard just pops in.
Yeah, just in between and holding Barry's severed head.
Yeah.
Oh, are you a little concerned now?
Yeah.
Maybe you better hurry up, remember that, and back into that safe zone.
Real quick, but
right?
No, not fast enough, because Darth Elliot immediately guts Angus and pulls out the organ stone. Now, of course, Penny is smart enough to zap him and Q and Julia away before Darth Elliot can confront them. They end up back at the loft and try to regroup with Alice and Katie. Now, of course, Julia is determined to figure out how to use Binder so she can become a goddess again, but there's a knock on the door.
Right.
And it's Zelda.
Yeah, I was not expecting her.
No. Last person.
So, everything kind of said and done up to this point, it's like, all right, all of our people are pretty much in danger. That's how I'm looking at it.
Yes, because, if Darth Elliot gets his sister back, everybody's dead.
Right.
There's no way Darth Elliot is going to convince his sister not to kill any of our Scooby Gang. He has problems not killing any of our Scooby Gang. So, yeah, no.
Yeah, I'm worried.
Yeah.
So, let's go to our little musical number.
All right. You want to do Team Margot?
Oh my God, I loved Margot.
Summer Michelle just rocked this episode.
She's amazing. Like, Margot is totally my spirit animal.
Yeah.
So she's out wandering the desert of Fillory, and Margot's thirsty and frustrated. And yes, she does quip at some point, oh, I'm really going to get my steps in today. Ha ha ha. As she's on her way to try to find this tribe that supposedly has weapons that she's been informed can help rescue Elliot. Whether or not, I don't know.
Yeah.
But she does end up trying to figure out what's happening, and she collapses in exhaustion, and of course, her lovely swearing this episode. Oh God, Jesus, fuck a wise man's donkey.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God. And she's trying to get the last little bit of water, which I feel like maybe they should have loaded her up more, but.
Right. Josh. Not water.
She pulls out her birthright lizard and she asks for a sign, and she, of course, was trying to drink the water, and she notices there's a bead of liquid on its back. And out of desperation, she licks it. And I thought it was hilarious because immediately she begins to, in her own words, trip balls.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I just started laughing because I kept thinking of Family Guy. Oh, she's licking Toad.
Yeah.
But this was great because all of a sudden Elliot is there on top of an outcropping of rocks, dressed like a glamorous rock star, a rock god, in fact, and singing The Pretenders, Don't Get Me Wrong, as he dances and struts his way to her and back. And she's like, what the hell? Of course, she's like, why is this happening? You're not really Elliot. What's going on? But she follows him.
Yeah.
And he was multiple Elliots here and there.
Yes.
And dancing around. And she's like, this is insane. So eventually she does end up in this kind of clearing after she had seen some red sand.
Right.
Kind of following her. And she's like, of course, she just thinks she's tripping.
Right.
And she passes out. When she wakes up, there's people.
Yeah.
Like, oh,
hello.
Maybe I'm hallucinating still, and maybe I'm not. We'll find out in a second. But suddenly there's a tribe leader, the foremost, who is about to kill her. When she asks for water, she's like, oh, is that a deal breaker?
But he sees the brand on her arms, marking her an exile of Fillory, which saves her skin.
Yes, because the enemy of my enemy is my ally. You know what? There's only so far you can go with that, but whatever works to help Margot.
Right.
But she wakes up inside a tent, and it's the tribe's wise woman, who looks very familiar, and I was not able to place her. Oh, God. I think she's from one of our shows, and it was just making me crazy. So, of course, what did I have to do? I had to fire up the Google machine. Yes, because I'm like, why do I know this woman? And they weren't super clear. It's Claire Carey, but I mean, it turns out she's kind of from our shows, but not.
Okay.
She's been on SyFy. She's been on, oh crap, I just had it. Jericho, Stargate, SG-1, obviously The Magicians. But it's like shows that we've seen that would kind of be up our alley.
Right.
Like SG-1, I believe for a while was on.
Yes.
Yeah, but yeah, that's how that worked. I'm like, all right. So it was driving me crazy, though. I have to tell you guys, because I'm like, why? She should totally be in our stuff because she just kind of fits in it. But anyway, let me get back to everything else now that I've taken that right turn at Albuquerque. All right. Where was I? Oh, yeah. She's learning information from the wise woman, but not really good information.
Right.
But we find out that the red sand that she's seen wasn't part of her hallucination. It is, of course, the desert is alive and full of demon spirits that attack our women. But do they? Because she seemed really, I don't know. I feel like she's, of course, hiding something. Because why do you have the bottles of these demon spirits then?
Right.
Like, I feel like you'd want to destroy them somehow.
Yeah.
But Margot decides to ask about the weapons because all she knows is black blades. And suddenly there's a fight outside. And what happens? The wise woman is yelling because, or not yelling, she's like, be calm. Because there's a woman yelling at her husband for sleeping with her sister. Yeah, that's going to really calm her down. Because when in the history of ever, has telling a woman to calm down actually work? Sorry.
None that I know of.
But the red sand ends up swirling up and flies into the guy, knocking him on the ground. And when that happened, we get our Vision Elliot, who's by Margot's side. And I love it because at one point when she's seeing and hearing Elliot, she's like, are you guys seeing this? No? Oh, okay. That's just me. She's like, Jesus, how long does that one lick last? It's got a half-life like Chernobyl or something. That was great.
Yeah.
But like as this is happening, the foremost pulls out his blades and stabs the man on either side of his chest.
Right.
And then the red sand leaves his body and the wise woman kind of captures it in the bottle. It's like, okay, interesting. You're getting all this information. And apparently when a woman gets emotional, and I love it, it just gets worked up. Yeah. The red sand demons rise up and attack. And the men of the village save the women from possession because they're the only ones that can survive the blades. And I'm thinking, really?
Yeah, this doesn't add up.
Yeah. And they can't be killed. So we just trap them in the bottle. It's like, huh. And I love it because this is when we're getting the conversation between Margot and Vision Elliot, which is hilarious. Yeah. And Margot's like, oh, some brave dudes. And, of course, Elliot. And some awfully compliant women. Yeah, I can't really get mad when you do something. Yeah. Yeah, that's going to go over great.
Not going to work.
Well, Margot's like, all right, I need to figure this out and get these blades. Because whatever, I need to help Elliot.
Right.
So she heads on over to the foremost tent and gets him drunk and seduces him. And I love it because when they're drinking, she's trying to get the information about the black blades, and we get Vision Elliot again there. Oh, man. He's like, yeah, I'm like your spirit guide. And suddenly we also get, we get Josh.
Yes.
And I think at some point Fen pops in there.
Oh,
but
yeah.
We have her id and her super ego and her guilt.
Yeah.
And I love it because Josh is like, yeah, don't forget about the lycanthropy, and maybe not the best idea in a place with two moons. It's like, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Especially when you have women who have to be compliant for everything.
Right.
And it's like, I'm just needing the axe. Don't worry. I love it because she's like, don't worry, I'll tell him oh God, I can't remember how she said it exactly, but we're not going to actually have sex, because at that moment, Elliot's like, wow, that was like super fast, Bambi. And I haven't heard him call her that in so long.
I know.
But we suddenly get White Snake then.
Yeah.
Here I go again. And I was like, oh my God. He's like, yeah, you remember this song, right?
Yep.
Because it always plays in your head when, you're working a guy. She's like, you know what? I really wanted to ride in that Porsche. It was just in my driveway. My dad happened to come out. Song was on, whatever. And I was like, oh my God. So many things to try to unravel there.
Right.
But then we get Fen, who apparently is lost innocence. So we get them singing.
Yeah.
Fen, Elliot, Josh.
While Margot's climbing on top of the foremost.
Right. I was like, good God. What else is going to happen?
Yeah. This just keeps getting better and better.
Oh, yeah. Because the foremost the next day is kind of, Joe Jackass.
Yeah.
But Margot's like, can I borrow your axes for a couple days? And he's like, no. These are enchanted and only works for me. Okay, well, can you make me a pair? Oh, you cute little woman. No, that's not how this works.
Yeah.
The only way you can own a pair is you must scour the desert for only the black grains of sand and fill this large sack. And you cannot use magic because it will counteract everything. And if you're able to do that, we'll forge the axes. It's like, you'll never be able to.
Right.
And by the way, don't get emotional, or the sand spirits will get you, because there won't be a man there to protect you. And I'm like, ooh, I do not like this guy.
No.
And of course, he's all condescending. And of course, Margot's like, there never was a man to protect me.
Yeah.
And she marches off, and we start getting the music again. So I'm like, wait a second. I thought this was if something else was happening.
Right.
But we get Elliot and Josh and Fen and suddenly Katie, who cracked me up because apparently it's her feelings of inadequacy. And according to Katie, my 4-octave vocal range, bitch. And I'm like, okay, out of all of them, wasn't Katie the only one that actually was able to sing really well? Because she hit some great notes. Yeah. And I love it because Margot, it cracks me up. Like, how are you in the scene and not reacting to all of them?
Right.
Because Margot's like, show off.
Yeah.
And it really gets weird because we have some great choreography happening, but suddenly we also have Dean Falk.
And you go, say what?
Your subconscious was seeking some wisdom. No, whiskey, not wisdom. And that was just really weird when you have them singing and dancing around Margot.
Right.
And Gene Falk, just, oh God, like I wasn't expecting him.
No, that would be like Zelda popping up.
Oh, thank God she didn't. Oh, so they're singing and dancing around her, and she drops to the floor to begin looking for black sand. And of course she's getting frustrated. And I'm like, well, at least they gave her like a tent.
Right.
Because she puts that up and she's digging around and inside the tent too. But she's getting frustrated because it's slow.
Yeah.
And I was kind of surprised because when they do show the bag, there's a lot more black sand in there than I was expecting.
Right. Absolutely there was.
But we're in at least the second night, if not more.
Right.
And we have our Dream Elliot, who, seriously, how long has that lizard lick lasted?
Yeah.
And he's singing Beautiful Dreamer. Apparently a lullaby her father used to sing to her every night when he was there. Or also, I think she said on the phone if he was traveling for work.
Right.
And this is what kind of breaks her.
Yeah.
And this was sad because we didn't really know about her past.
No, we didn't.
And it makes me wonder how much real Elliot, actually knows about her past. So I feel like nobody knows this.
I tend to agree with you. I don't think she's even revealed this to true Elliot.
Yeah, and it got a little bit of onion ninjas around here.
Yeah.
I was misting up. Apparently, her once perfect relationship with her father was ruined by her, quote unquote, growing up. Now, I don't know if that is when he caught her or something else.
Right.
Because And this was sad because she says he raised me, saying I could be anything. And I became smart and self-possessed and a confident woman, just like he had raised me to be. But I was no longer able to be controlled. Right. And there's nothing more deadly to the fragile male ego.
Right.
I'd never wanted to be a princess. And I know at one point she's like, I'm a goddamn king. And I was like, oh my God. Yeah. And no one could handle my rage and my self-awareness in any possession. So I just walled myself up and I guarded myself. And it became a hard, glossy armor. Because you can be pretty, you can be smart, you can be yourself, but you can't.
Right.
And I'm like, oh my God. Seriously, like she's saying everything that so many like young girls have heard all their lives, and then how it kind of gets smashed. It's like, oh yeah, you could be this, but you shouldn't be.
Right. Yeah. They're double talk.
Right. And I mean, you have a daughter.
Yes.
And granddaughters.
Yes.
So I know I don't know, but like you watching this, I'm sure it's kind of the same thing. You're like, no, I'm teaching my kids this and I want them to be this way. It's like, and it's probably the same like me. I'm like, okay, they kept telling me this, but did they really mean this?
Right.
And I'm just wondering, like, if you thought, but do they think I'm meaning, no, you need to do this, but not really show it? I mean, I'm sure that's not something you're doing, but just the way society kind of is.
Right. Yeah. No, I don't believe I gave her a double-edged sword to play with.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, it sucks because
right.
I know I did kind of get that.
Right.
It's like, yeah, my family is like, okay, you can do this, you can be anything. But then when I tried, I had several, and unfortunately it was the women in my family too that were like, but why do you think you can do this?
Right.
Like, the hell? Because you taught me this.
Yeah. You said I could, so I am.
So I really was like connecting with Margot. I mean, Margot is super pretty, and no, I'm not in that category, but it was like, okay, I am going to do this. I'm going to go to law school. And I got, what makes you think you're good enough? It's like, okay, well, just pop my balloon. Thank you.
Exactly.
And yeah, like I was saying, I don't believe that's something you would do, but the way society is, like, if you think that they kind of felt that way at any point, but like looking at it kind of from the outside now, it's like, okay, I have to make sure, like my nieces and nephews, I'm like, all right, I am going to do whatever I can to counteract craptastic society and the older generation, like, oh yeah, you can do this, but you can't.
Right.
So it's kind of something that this actually like pushed in my head, which again, that's neither here nor there, but I really like felt everything she was saying and how she was like having to confront herself and her anger and her, I guess her weakness, but it's more her frustration.
Right. Absolutely it was.
And as she was getting madder and she just screams, like you just see her totally stripped bare.
Yep.
And she's like, whatever, let the red sand come. At this point, I don't give a shit. And when all this happens, yeah, the red sand spirits come, but it's not what we were led to believe they were.
No.
Because suddenly there's this woman floating there, and I love it because she's talking to her vision Elliot. She's like, are you seeing this?
Yeah.
Dude, it's you. Yeah, he's seeing it because you're seeing it. It's like, but I can hear her. Maybe it's my fairy eye. What is happening?
Right.
It's a female spirit. And we find out that apparently it comes to women who are in need. That's why they come. It has nothing to do with possessing and the guys.
No.
And the spirit helps fill her sack with all the black sand. And so she returns back to the tribe, Mug, because she knows all sorts of stuff they don't know. And she's like, all right, here we go. Can you make my axes now? And the foremost and the wise woman are like, no.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. We were just trying to get rid of you.
All right. We didn't think you'd survive. Most people just give up. It's like, really? And now you have Margot pissed.
Yeah.
Because she's like, oh, by the way, I did meet the spirits, and they told me the truth. They're not here to hurt the women. They're here to help them. And the men in the village, I bet you all know this, don't you?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And Margot had some choice words.
Yeah.
Choice words. I
Yeah.
actually will not repeat this time.
No.
But you have been lying to these women to keep them compliant. And I'm sorry, apparently you forgot something, because at that point, the foremost is like, yeah, well, nobody's going to believe you, and we're going to kill you anyway. She's like, you forgot the key plot point here.
Yeah.
I'm a magician. Boom! Some battle magic. Blast him. Blast the tribal elder. And knock all of the sand open.
Yes.
That was like bottled up so they can all get out. Because we find out that, these are all the sisters. Bad things, bad things, bad things.
Yeah.
Well, she decides to take the axes. I'm kind of surprised it wasn't like, I'm going to beat your ass.
Yeah.
Like hardcore first. But we have all of our vision, like dancers at this point. And we get a new song. Storm's Coming.
And we get Q and we get Julia. And
yeah, it's like we get everybody.
Everybody's in for this one.
I love that we got a musical number. But she's just blasting open all the bottles and takes the axes and tells the women, hey, by the way, if you're pissed and the sand comes, it's here to help you.
Yeah.
And they're like, what do you mean? Just use your thoughts, they'll leave. And one of the guys does get possessed. And it happened to be the guy who was screwing the sister.
Right.
And so the woman thinks it, and the sand leaves, and she's like, oh my God, I could hear it. See it. What's happening? She's like, yeah, guess what, honey?
You have the power.
Yeah. It's like, oh, you had the power all along. Okay, Dorothy, calm down.
Yeah.
And then, well, the foremost and the wise woman end up regaining consciousness. And I love it. She's like, oh, look who decided to wake up. It's Trump and Aunt Lydia. Okay, Margot. Holy crap on toast. Super snark.
Yeah.
Loved it. And I love how they keep putting all these different cultural references into.
Oh, absolutely. It's amazing.
And Margot's like, you know what? There's a new desert order. I'm like, all right, Margot. And she's off and running while we get beautiful Dreamer again. And she has the axes. And she's like, no, I'm going to get you back, Elle. I really will. And she looks in the bag and
it's empty.
And she looks again and she kind of like hears the song fading off, and she looks a second time and the lizard's back.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, it's so sweet. Yeah. And she's kind of singing Beautiful Dreamer as she walks off to her destiny. Oh, so is that really what her birthright lizard was about? It wasn't to tell her something. She just had to lick it.
It sure seems that way. And
who would have thought?
Banned from Fillory, so I don't think the lizard's going to be able to talk unless it's in Fillory. So yeah, it just may be when she needs it, take a lick.
Oh God, that's weird.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay, so obviously I really like this episode, and especially Margot's part, because it was just cracking me up.
Yeah, absolutely.
And obviously I thought about it way deeper than probably most people did, but
not so sure about that. I bet you there's a whole lot more women out there that watched this episode and were thinking exactly the same thing you were.
Well, maybe. And if you are, why don't you shoot us an email at SyFyTalk@fangirlzone.com. If you didn't go that deep, still shoot us an email at SyFyTalk@fangirlzone.com. Let us know what you think about the episode, the show. How happy are you that we got a musical episode again? Because I love musical episodes. I really feel like it makes a big difference. Like, we see a whole different side to the cast, too.
Yes, absolutely.
And I still think about the Bowie one.
Yeah.
Like, every time I hear the song, to be honest. But while you're at it, if you can rate and review us on iTunes and every other platform you find us on, because good ratings and reviews help other fans of the show find us. Tell your friends about this show, because how have you not gotten all of them to start watching it? I don't know how long it's been, but I finally got Jess to start watching it.
Good.
I mean, that's only taken a while.
Yeah.
Because two kids trying to watch, with two kids running, she's catching up.
Good.
And of course, if you check out the website, www.fangirlzone.com, that would make us happy. Let us know what you think. we are constantly putting stuff up because we are in con season. I am very slowly getting stuff up there from a recent con and planning for the next one. And finally, for this episode of SyFy Talk, I am Sean, Fangirl S.
And I'm Steve. Seriously? I've got my id, my lost innocence, my guilt, and now my inadequacy?
And until next time.